So just to run of the show, what we're going to get done today is I'm going to give you an update on what's happening on the LA waterfront right now. It's going to be really brief, but really give you a little bit of context about the port in general and how it lays up on our cargo business, and then also on the LA waterfront, which is more of our visitor attraction business on this side of the channel. We're going to get an introduction to the connectivity plan from SWA. Gerdo is going to provide that introduction for us, and then we're going to get into some of the program, which will include going around to stations, a raffle, and other fun activities that will be hosted by SWA in the port. So current happenings on the LA waterfront. A little bit of a background on the port itself. The Port of LA is one half of the San Pedro Bay. San Pedro Bay is made up of the Port of Los Angeles and the Port of Long Beach. The outside world that utilizes these ports for cargo purposes sees this as one facility, and it is the biggest port complex collectively in the United States. The Port of LA by itself is the largest container port in the United States and has been that for the last 20 years. So we're here, there's a dividing line, an imaginary line that goes down the middle of the port complex there, and on your left-hand side is the Port of LA, and on your right-hand side is the Port of Long Beach, as is denoted on the slide. So we've been here for more than 100 years, since 1907. We're under a trust with the state of California, which means that we can use the port for specific reasons: navigation, commerce, fishing, and recreation. And it has limits. So for example, we cannot build residential units on our property. We can have hotels, but no residences for sale or apartments or anything of that nature. So there are limitations to what we can do. We're non-taxpayer supported. We do get taxpayer supported grants from time to time, but we do not use taxpayer money to operate. We're basically a large real estate development company that utilizes monies that come in from our tenants' revenues, and we redevelop the facilities on behalf of them and build out better amenities here next to our communities to better the communities that we are adjacent to. The business port model is we're a landlord port essentially. We lease out property to tenants and they operate it on our behalf. We have a 5-member board of commissioners. We have one commissioner here, I won't call him out, but he's right over here actually, Commissioner Anthony Perozzi, so thank you for coming out. Today we have actually 3 local commissioners on our board, which is great. We get good local representation and I think prioritization of what we're trying to get done here in these communities. So we have a bunch of acres, 7,500 acres total, and it's broken off into about probably 2/3 of it is, or maybe not so much, but land and water. There's more land than there's water. 43 miles of waterfront. 8 miles of waterfront is focused on visitor serving activity. 270 berths and 25 cargo terminals and a bunch of rail. So the LA waterfront, which is the focus of what we're here today on, is 400 acres that has been designated to be deindustrialized. Most of it has been deindustrialized at this point in both Wilmington and San Pedro. Most of it is in San Pedro, and about 8 miles total of waterfront area as well. So quite a bit of waterfront area to activate there, and a lot of work has gone into that in the last, I'd say, 15 years. Especially in the last, I'd say 8 years through our public access investment plan. But overall, the port between 2005 and 2025 will have invested $1 billion in the LA waterfront. That's through hard infrastructure, programming, maintenance, everything that goes into keeping the promenades, the walkways, the open space working and operational, and what's necessary to attract private investors to our property to build out new developments that are going to serve for visitor attractions and for locals to go down and visit on a daily basis. So we're close to downtown, only 25 miles away. We have significant amount of recreational vessels in our port as well, almost 4,000 slips between marinas in Wilmington and San Pedro. We're averaging about 2 million visitors a year. Right now, we want to get that up quite a bit. 500,000 passengers on the cruise side, those are really unique passengers. From a revenue passenger perspective, it's much more than that, but those are people that come here one time to get on a cruise, come on and off, and about 100 public events a year. So this is a better understanding of what the LA waterfront really is. The beige portion in the middle is the industrial port. That encompasses most of Terminal Island and areas in Wilmington. The red area is the LA waterfront. So that is the 8 miles of waterfront area, majority of which you can see is in San Pedro, and 400 acres of area that has been designated for public use there. And this is where we started with this plan back in 2009. The 2009 EIR that we did here in San Pedro really focused on specific projects. The Ports of Call development was one of those projects. City Dock 1 redevelopment was one of those projects, but looked at different ways to connect what we had at that time. And we put a lot of work and a lot of energy. A lot of the $1 billion that I had spoken of has already gone into the ground in hard infrastructure improvements with the promenade that goes from the existing cruise terminal all the way down and through the Ports of Call development now, and that will be connected even more in the next couple years as we finish off the development there. But there's been a significant amount of work that's gone on. There's been projects that have come in after this, like the USS Iowa, that were never planned for, and there's projects that are on here that will never happen. And so we need to really relook at this opportunity that we have on the LA waterfront, going back to all the good work that was done in the early 2000s that culminated in the 2009 EIR, and bringing that forward to today and figuring out what makes sense today based on changes that have occurred. At this time, we didn't have the dense residential development that is happening in San Pedro right here in downtown, and so that's a new opportunity for us to take advantage of, something that we want to explore more so going forward. These are projects that were built out of the Public Access Investment Plan, or projects that are in the process of being built. So you have a variety of projects in both San Pedro and Wilmington that go into what we've built out in the last 8 years, which is about $250 million worth of projects that we're either currently building or in the design process for. So we're looking at extending this overall process permanently into our larger budget process on an annual basis, and look forward to continuing to invest in the community. And the interesting thing about Public Access Investment Plan is that it's really a partnership between us, local elected offices, and the communities that come in and prioritize projects with the port and collectively decide how we're going to move forward with investing in the waterfront. So it's been a really good project that started back in 2015 to get better engagement. Really key stakeholders are the neighborhood councils and the local chambers of commerce, and CD15, the local council office under Tim McCosker. So just some of these ideas, things we're trying to connect, things we're trying to think through anew. The USS Iowa, it's currently at our existing cruise center that is right here to the north of us, right behind the Boys and Girls Club. There's ideas about moving this. That's been a prioritized project that has come out of the Public Access Investment Plan. So as we think about that, how are we going to connect it back to the community once it does move, if it does move, and what are we going to do with the space that's there today? But USS Iowa has been a real success story on the waterfront, but not something that was really planned for in 2009 when we did the EIR for San Pedro. West Harbor is really the center point of where we have invested most of the Public Access Investment Plan money. About $100 million has gone into the West Harbor project in public infrastructure that's going to be coupled with about $165 million in investment from the private developer for their first couple phases. So a very important project that we want to make sure we're thinking through how we're going to connect new projects, old projects, all the developments that are happening in downtown San Pedro with the West Harbor project as well, which has started construction already and is expected to be complete for the first couple phases in 2024. AltaSea, another project that some people know about, some people don't know a lot about, but it's been a project that the port has been working on for over 10 years. It is at berths 58 through 60, currently being developed right now, adaptively reused warehouses that will be used for a variety of educational and commercial uses focused on sprouting new ocean industries from warehouses that were storing cotton last, but haven't really been utilized to any great degree in the course of the last 10 years. So really opportunistic situation there. We have a nonprofit that is running that under Terry Tamanen's leadership, and really with the intent of providing significant jobs here in San Pedro. Over 1,000 jobs are expected to come out of AltaSea when fully built out, and full build out for the first phase is about 180,000 square feet of new warehouse space that will be populated by a variety of tenants. They have broken ground there as well, and are moving forward with this development that'll look like that, hopefully in about 2 years. Whoops. And those are both projects that are under lease and under development right now. This is a project that is next in line. We're in negotiations for a development contract for the Cabrillo Marina, which is really intended to build out the land side of the marina that the port built over 10 years ago, and this is at the corner of 22nd Street and Dave Arian Way. There's a large landside component there that was always intended to be built out. The market wasn't right for it when the port built that marina, and so we have marketed this in about 2018, and then brought this forward to a developer through a developer negotiation that is happening right now. The expectation here is that they're going to build 2 hotels, a marina club, and other retail, food and beverage type of uses on the site. So a big upgrade for this area that has not previously had commercial development, and really a story of what we've been able to do on the LA waterfront through continued investment and commitment from the port to invest in areas other than our cargo business through the success of our cargo business. So we're going to continue to work on these ideas and figure out ways that the community can connect better with these projects while we come up with new ideas. And I think it's my turn to pass it over to Gerdo from SWA, Waterfront Connectivity Plan.
All right. I think there's a lot to be excited about. This is a wonderful waterfront, and it'll continue to evolve, and we're honored to be a part of its evolution. So my name is, there I am. My name is Gerardo Aquino, and I'm the CEO of SWA. We're a national planning, landscape architecture, and urban design firm. And our mission really is to try to understand waterfronts like this, how they can evolve, how can they be more accessible, healthy places with a vibrant public realm. I am joined by a super team of partners here. They will be manning the different activity stations, but maybe if you guys could just stand up really quick. We have Ingyu, Jana, Val, and Yan Hao from SWA, and then we also have 2 from our consultant team over there, which is Sam and Kelly. And together we want to engage with you in all these activities tonight to really get deep into the listening. You know, what is it you want from this waterfront? And we can take all of that input and really start to create a framework for the future of the San Pedro waterfront. All right, so where are we? We are right there. So right in the middle means that we have already done some extensive analysis and inventory of this 400-acre waterfront. We understand kind of the framework of it and how it's functioning today. Where we are right now and this evening is really to kind of listen very closely to you in what you perceive as what's working, what's not working. How can we create a connectivity plan that is about your needs and the needs of this community? And then after another community meeting and a few more meetings, we will then start to shape this waterfront and create a plan that could then move forward into implementation. A bonus is next week, we are facilitating a pop-up event. And these pop-up events really are meant to be something spontaneous, something that is maybe out in the public realm. This particular pop-up will be associated with the, I believe, the Art Walk, right, next Thursday. So we hope we see some of you there, or maybe all of you. And again, this is all building upon kind of this listening phase. So, you know, the question that I get often when I work in different cities across the U.S. is, how do we know that this will be our waterfront? Well, we like to do a lot of research. This is a little bit of research, but hopefully it's a way for us as consultants to connect with you. We know that authenticity of a place is important. You have an amazing storied history, 400 years of history that includes everything from shipbuilding to a fishing industry to military operations with Fort MacArthur to different kinds of industrial activities, and certainly the beginnings of one of the most amazing ports in the nation. All of this to us is kind of the DNA of this place. We want to make sure that the DNA and identity of San Pedro is intact as we go through this process. We want it to be this place, not any other place. This is a kind of a statement about the vision and really what it's saying, and you can read it too, but it's about understanding that today, now more than ever, people want to be connected to a place. They want to be connected to nature, to each other, to their ethnicity, and this waterfront is a place that can allow that to happen. This also talks about creating multi-benefit places and spaces for people. And multi-benefit simply means that bicyclists, pedestrians, visitors, tourists, residents can all live together, play together, and be within an area that is a very unique place in the LA waterfront. Okay, so how do we do this? So we talked about the why we should do this a little bit, but the actual method that we do it is shown on this slide. So at the very top are 4 very distinct professional planning approaches. And they're kind of clustered in 4 different areas. The first is transportation planning, everything from automobiles to buses to the rubber tire rail to bicycle and pedestrian planning. You know, where are people bicycling now? Where do they want to bicycle? And where do people walk? Where is it safe? Where is it easily accessible? Public art planning. There are always monies available and interest for art within the public realm, so we want to integrate that. And then the 4th one there is open space planning. You have an interesting collection of open spaces today. Can we expand on that? Can we improve upon them? We take those approaches and then we turn them into what's called best practices, which means we start to combine your input with planning to create diagrams and strategies to really make this an implementable plan. And then finally, a connected waterfront, really realizing on the vision that started decades ago that Mike Galvin talked about and trying to bring all of this to fruition. Okay, so quick summary. We're going to work with what's been done already, which Mike talked about that. We're going to set a framework for the future. So this framework is fundamental to really creating a plan that can work financially and supported by the community. We want to think about the comprehensive connectivity, so everything from, again, from foot to bicycle to vehicle to vessels in the water. And we want to be engaging. Again, this activity tonight is really about engagement, so we hope that you do participate. We know that I met somebody who's number 1, I think, the captain. Where is he? Yeah, he's number 1 on the on the list there. Okay, so very quickly, regional context. All roads lead to San Pedro. Yes, whether it's adjacent airports or connecting to downtown LA, that larger framework means something, and we want to make sure that you can take it from that macro scale to the micro scale, which is your sidewalks. We already talked about the boundary of this project. The red is the 400 acres, and then San Pedro proper is shown in these 3 distinct areas, north, central, and south. The shape of this project is very unique. I don't think I've personally ever worked on a waterfront that had all the nooks and crannies and kind of shapes that I think will lead to a very unique experience and a kind of a placemaking approach to your waterfront. And then I think maybe for a second, I'd like Val to join me here to talk about some of the impressions we have of the existing conditions, and then I'll jump back in and continue.
Thanks, Gerdo. So existing conditions, this is critical for us to understand what's currently here, for us to understand how we can improve this space. So it all starts with the what we see today. We have, let me scoot back one. The placemaking. These are the destinations that you love and know dear to heart, that you come to the port for. It's things like the plazas, the beach, parks, all these spaces that are really special and drive you to this space. So this is something we want to hear from you. What places are special to you at the harbor? And then how are we getting there? Is it something, are you usually driving to this space? Are you riding your bike? Are you using public transit? We want to understand how are you getting to this space with some of these options, and then once you're in this space, how are you moving in between each of these amenities? So it could be things like motorized traffic like rubber tire trolley, or with other public transit, or your car and you're using parking stalls. And then in addition to that, when you're actually at the harbor and utilizing the many promenades that are along here, we want to understand, all the different options. There's promenades along the port. There's many different bicycle options to use. So there are many different pedestrian-friendly opportunities here. And then when it comes to art and wayfinding, these are really important pieces that tie together all of the elements. Whether it's wayfinding like signage, it tells you where to go, or it's public art, there's already really a handful of really great art elements within the port, so really emphasizing those. And then there's also different amenities like benches, seating, exercise equipment, playground equipment. These are all really great things that could increase your experience within the port. And then I'm going to hand it back over to, or Yingyu is going to cover some of these inspirational benchmarks that we look at.
This is fast forward, right? Okay. All right. So I like to just share some of the projects that you might have already visited in kind of both domestic in the United States as well as internationally. And these are examples of what other people are doing with their waterfront. Well, the first one is actually in our very nearby neighborhood in the city of Santa Monica. It's the promenade, the waterfront promenade, right off the pier, the pier and the Ferris wheel. And this is a promenade that both have bicycles as well as pedestrians, and using art and environmental signage and design to make this place a really vibrant destination. So it's also got this pedestrian bridge, and it's an old bridge that bridges the bluff from the street, from the PCH down to the promenade, the bicycle trails and the jogging tracks. Okay, this one. So today it's actually a really wonderful place to be compared to before when it was actually a service road for cars and trucks, and now it's completely open to pedestrians and bicyclists. And this is another project that's in New York City. It's the Hunters Point South. It's one of the largest waterfront parks in New York, and this one talks about different kinds of event spaces that I know, the project, the San Pedro waterfront is also planning, such as the West Harbor project. And it's become a really large attraction in terms of having things to do at the waterfront, whether it's concerts or trails or just meeting friends or watching, the sunset in the large open space area there. Okay, this project is actually in Serbia, Eastern Europe. And it's an existing waterfront where we have retrofitted a road and then carving it into bicycles and jogging trails. And it's got a lot of interesting places where you can hang out at night to watch the boats going down the river, the bridge beyond, and also there's these kind of boating events, festivals that happen, and artwork. Okay, this is a project that we have recently completed in our neighborhood. This is the King Harbor amenities plan in Redondo Beach. It's very similar to what we're taking on right now, basically identifying a lot of these opportunity areas, whether it's development or open space, and finding different ways of connecting them together through lots of parking. So you're looking at both pedestrians, joggers, walkers, and as well as bicyclists. And so this is something that we're actively working into the next phases. This is showing what that might look like. There's places to gather as well, places to, swimming, the places for public swimming, and then definitely enjoying the fresh air and the water.
And we're really excited to be talking with you all and look forward to hearing what you have to say about San Pedro's waterfront.